the Pioneer viewers. We continue to bring you the latest developments regarding the Russia-Ukraine war. As you know, the war continues in all its reality, and while the developments throughout the war have been handled from many points of views, it has become more and more difficult to make predictions about the outcome of the war. There have been many incredible events throughout the war, and these events have caused a serious change. First of all, the Ukrainian army's successes in the counterattacks limited the Russian army's operations, and the Russian army had great difficulties in its all-planned strategy to advance. Eventually, the fighting between the Ukrainian army and the Russian army became deadlocked. It was also very difficult to meet the logistical needs of the Russian troops that were stationed in the conflict zone. The Ukrainian army's strategic attacks were enough to push the Russian army into a corner, and the cornered Russian troops could not advance from their positions. In recent days, there have been some changes in the strategy of the Russian army. Information obtained from local sources and experts indicate that the Russian army has changed its strategy. It seems possible to speak definitely about the situation of the Russian army, which focuses on smaller scale attacks instead of a large organization. The motivation of the military personnel in the Russian army is quite low, and therefore, although changes in plans may seem like a solution, the quality of the personnel may not be sufficient to implement them. So the Ukrainian army continues its counterattacks unabated, and the news that emerged in recent days showed the clarity of the Ukrainian army in achieving its goals. The operation plan, prepared with the contribution of the Ukrainian military intelligence, targeted Russian trenches. Ukrainian intelligence, which monitored the trenches for a long time with the reconnaissance and observation activities, determined the best time for the operation. Then, as a result of the information provided to the Ukrainian army, the operation plan was prepared. When the time came for the operation, Ukrainian army vehicles turned the Russian trenches into a ring of fire. Now, if you're ready, let's examine the latest developments of this incredible attack and other developments together. So, as the Pioneer team, we continue to report on Russia-Ukraine war. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so that you don't miss our daily map reports and reports on the agenda. You know that I read all of your comments, so please continue to share your ideas about our content in the comments with us. Tell us in the comments what kind of content you would like to see on this channel. So, let's start if you're ready. The Pioneer is reporting. The Ukrainian army carried out an incredible attack the other day. After footage of the attack was released, the footage of the operation reached thousands of people in a short time. The videos shared by thousands of people revealed the attack of the Ukrainian army, which took place in almost like a raid. So, Ukrainian military intelligence collects information by conducting reconnaissance and observation activities on the front line. You know that. The information collected to serve the Ukrainian army provides a clearer understanding of the contribution of the Ukrainian intelligence, and the Ukrainian army continues its war fiction to organize the strategic operations. So, in the strategic operations, especially the moments when the Russian army is unprepared are chosen. In this way, the Ukrainian army's offensive operation is successful, and the last attack of the Ukrainian army was organized by a Ukrainian unit that has been active on the front line for a long time. The 63rd Brigade of the Ukrainian Army organized an attack on the Russian trenches using unmanned aerial vehicles. The drones, loaded with the bombs, plunged into the Russian trenches and terrorized the soldiers in trenches. With the explosions of the bombs, the Russian army suffered significant losses. So, in addition to unmanned aerial vehicles, wheeled ground vehicles were also used effectively in the attack. The technological transformation of the Ukrainian army is being recorded on the front line. Throughout the war, Ukrainian attacks were recorded and publicized. So, the open communication policy of the Kiev authorities allowed us to closely follow the war process. And according to the information from local sources, the Russian army is planning to change its strategy. It is an assessment that many military experts predict, and the Ukrainian officials have warned Russia that will launch a new offensives on their defense from the beginning of this summer. Kiev has also stressed that delays in vital military aid are hampering its ability to fighting with the Kremlin. It could take weeks for the aid needed for the Ukraine to reach the battlefield and start making a difference, during which time Russia is likely to launch more attacks. Backed into a corner, Moscow could use the limited time before new US aid arrives to stop us in the offensives. So the Russian military command is likely to consider significant changes to the large-scale offensives operation expected to be launched in June, but it is still likely to go ahead as planned. Kiev will block the current Russian offensives, assuming that resumed US assistance arrive promptly. Ukraine is struggling to meet its significant material needs, including ammunition for its artillery systems and interceptor missiles for its air defense system. Kiev officials have indicated that Russia has signaled that it is gathering 100,000 troops for a concentrated push or replenishment of its ranks. So, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky had warned that Ukraine would lose the war if Congress did not approve new military aid. In a statement the other day, he described the package passed by the House of Representatives as very important. Afterward, he made an important statement. He said, "We appreciate every sign of support for our country and its independence, its people, and its way of life, which Russia is trying to bury under the ruble." So, the Ukrainian army's successes in counterattacks is causing the Russian army to try different methods. And when the Russian army is cornered, it can resort to aggressive methods, developments, and unlawful intervention since the beginning of the invasion attempt have often ended in Russia's favor. Russia has been subjected to embargoes and sanctions in return for its unlawful actions. And the Russian economy has struggled to remain strong under harsh conditions, which at the same time struggling with sanctions. The whole war has raised questions for Russia, and the war waged by Vladimir Putin, the president of the Russian Federation, has actually led to a bigger problem for Russia. The act of that the Russian people had to comply with the conditions of the war caused public unrest. So the fact that the Russian army, which is preparing to change its strategy in the coming days, is once again making efforts to recruit new soldiers may also draw the reaction of the public. So, how do you interpret the Ukrainian army's attacks on the Russian trenches? How do you assess Russia's losses given the developments throughout the war? Do you think the Ukrainian army will become stronger with new support packages? How do you interpret the Russian army's change of strategy? We value your opinion, so please share it with us.